Today I have a story about a problem I ran into recently with my new bus so that you can learn vocabulary and even grammar in the best way possible with story learning. I thought that maybe it would take a day or two to take the seats out of the bus, but I was really wrong. I am underneath the bus. I am taking some bolts off. Seriously, it's hard to believe. I'm excited! I just took this first nut off out from underneath the bus all by myself. I feel so empowered. Let me talk just a little bit about why I feel so empowered. Because the video I watched said that you need two people, one person under the bus and one person in the bus to hold this wrench. But after I had a friend come over and help, he taught me how to place a certain kind of wrench, the one that I have down there, so that you don't need somebody under the bus and somebody in the bus. I could do it all by myself. And then I discovered, okay, it was the wrong bolt. I guess I'll try again. So I'm under the bus for what feels like the 100th time today because of this bolt that is causing me headaches. Not literally causing me headaches, but it sure feels like it. So I want to share with you what I am learning from that bolt. I am learning a lot of patience because without patience, this job would be miserable. And I just don't want to be miserable. So I am finding ways to make it possible for me to be patient with something that has a really steep learning curve for me and a lot of inconvenience. So what I mean by steep learning curve is that I have a lot to learn. This isn't something I've learned a lot about. So similar to learning English, there's a lot to learn. And also a lot of inconvenience, because if I had someone here who could hold the other side of that bolt, it would be way easier to take off, which reminds me a little bit about how learning a language can be. Sometimes it's harder than other times, and if you had somebody you could talk to, it would make it easier to practice your speaking. But it is possible, both with learning a language and with taking out this bolt, to do it on your own. And there are pros and cons, or in other words, good things and bad things. Good things and bad things about both of them. And I think that for me, focusing on the good things has helped me to have patience. Like, it's saving me a lot of money to do this on my own. And I don't have to wait for someone else because I do have some people that are coming to help me in a few days, but they're going to help me with things I absolutely cannot do by myself. So doing some of the things that I can do, even if it takes a little longer or is more difficult, will make it possible for me to get the help I really need from them when they get here. I can tell you that just like learning a language, being patient with myself and allowing myself to learn these things is really good for my self-esteem. And then the other thing that I've learned is with patience, I can think better. And for example, if I have taken several bolts off that are difficult and I'm really tired, it's the end of the day, it is definitely easier to wait until the next day when I've had some rest to take these more difficult bolts off. The same is true with learning English. Wait until you are rested and refreshed to do the things that are the most difficult for you. I got it. So this is a combination wrench because it has the closed end and the open end. And I learned that if you put the closed end on the bolt, set it on there so that it can hit something when it turns, then I can go under the bus with the ratchet and take the nut off from underneath, and I don't need someone up here holding it. You don't have to have someone, but it is way easier if you do, because what I'm finding is that by placing the wrench up in the bus and going down below, sometimes it stays on and often it doesn't. So here you can see me putting the wrench on the bolt, but that didn't work when I crawled under the bus. So the next time I tried putting it on with a paper towel. That still didn't work, so I went out looking for a rock, found one, brought it back into the bus so that I could place it on top of the wrench and the paper towel and the bolt, and it still did not work. So I decided to try putting my ladder on top of everything and moving it around, hoping that it would hold the wrench on the inside of the bus. But even with learning and doing things slowly, things are starting to change in here. I've disconnected some of the seats, and I am working on disconnecting the lift, which is back here. And I have to say, it's quite empowering. This whole process was so difficult. I did something that I share with my English learners to help them get through something difficult, which is I made it my goal to just do 2 bolts a day. And I started doing that, and there were some days I got 2, some days I got like 1.5, and some days I got 3. But the best part of this whole story is that finally, totally unexpectedly, a friend found somebody who he did not even know, who just wanted to help somebody out. And that young man came over and helped me get all the bolts off of the seats in less than 15 minutes. And he helped me with some of the shelves that I wanted to put in the bus. I've been telling my friends, he restored my faith in humanity. In other words, by being so kind and willing to help, he reminded me that there are a lot of good people out there. I can't wait to share what else I've been doing on the bus, but while you wait, go ahead and watch this video and I'll see you soon.